rest of UK, putting a barrier down the Irish Sea. Motion C avoids that.
I said there were two criteria. First of all, did it deal with the issue of difference between Northern Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom? And secondly, would it deliver on what people voted for when they voted to leave the EU? And of course, if we stay in the customs union or a customs union arrangement, if we stay with the degree of regulatory alignment which is required, then of course that would not deliver on what people have voted for. And could just maybe deal with the amendment regarding the complementary public vote. And the option which is emerging here today would be we would put a deal to the people, probably a deal to the people of the United Kingdom based on whatever compromise solution came from this Remain Parliament, or we would vote to remain. Now that, quite frankly, is not a choice. That is not the choice that people, the vast majority of people who voted to leave the EU is concerned. Remain or half remain. People voted the first time to leave. And therefore, even the idea that somehow or other we're giving people a choice is would not be acceptable. And as far as the Scottish National Amendment is concerned, well, I think that it's clearly simply an attempt, because they've made no secret of where they stand on this, that they wish to stay in the EU. They wish to ensure that that situation is provided for, and for those reasons we would not vote for that amendment either. So tonight we will not be supporting any of these arrangements. One, because they do not safeguard the issue of the Union, and two, because they do not deliver on Brexit.
Alphon. Common Market 2.0 is a strong Brexit, a workers' Brexit, a no backstop Brexit, and a Eurosceptic Brexit. We'd be out of the political union, out of the common fisheries policy, out of the farming policy, out of home affairs and taxation. We'd leave the jurisdiction of the ECJ and regain our sovereignty and take back control. And we would not be rule takers. Sitting on the EEA Joint Committee, we can delay, adapt or derogate from any single market law or directive. EFTA states have secured over 1,100 derogations and adaptations. Norway and Iceland alone have derogated from EU law on more than 400 occasions between them. We'd have much greater involvement in the law-making process, with the right to be consulted on any new EU single market law. Of course.
I thank my right honourable friend for giving way, and I'd like to congratulate him and his colleagues for the intelligent work that they've done on promoting Common Market 2.0, and to other right honourable members for the debate today and the sensible compromises which have been brought forward. Would he agree with me, Mr. Speaker, if you'll just bear with me, would he agree with me that it would be much better for all concerned if this was properly discussed by this House 2 years ago to help shape our negotiations with the EU?
Well, my honourable friend is right, and of course hindsight is a wonderful thing. Now, furthermore, under Common Market 2.0, the UK would regain its seat at global bodies such as the WTO, so we'd be able to shape the global standards that are the basis for many EU and EEA laws. And as an EFTA member, we take back some control over immigration. Article 12 of the EEA agreement gives us important safeguards that would allow Britain to unilaterally take appropriate measures. And Article 28.3 would allow us to apply brakes on grounds of public policy, security or health. And we'd be able to do our own trade deals outside of the EU. EFTA states have 27 deals with 43 other countries. But at the same time, Common Market 2.0 is a workers' Brexit, because we keep the high standards workers' rights on annual leave, equal pay, maternity and parental leave and many other things. And we'd be aligned to the single market, safeguarding our economy, our businesses and our jobs. It's a no backstop, and we'd be aligned because Common Market to the single market, safeguarding our economy, our businesses and our jobs, meaning the backstop would never need to be activated. And the former president of the EFTA court, Karl Baudenbacher, stated in an interview that Norway-style deal could solve our issues around the backstop. There's also no backstop because we would mirror customs union arrangements until the frictionless border is solved. But it's a unifying Brexit. Common Market 2.0 brings together the support of Remainers and Leavers across the parties. But it's a unifying Brexit. Common Market 2.0 brings together the support of Central and Aberystwyth. King's College London University report, but it's a unifying Brexit. Common Market 2.0, the most popular option is a Norway-style deal, and it's gaining traction. Since 2017, support for EFTA has increased to 43%, and among Leave voters, 34% opted for EEA option in 2018, up from 24% in 2017. It's been supported in the past by many principled Eurosceptics. I won't give way because there's a lot of others who need to speak. Just in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the government said last week that we leave the European Economic Area automatically when we leave the EU. Yet in a January 2017 application for a judicial review of exactly this issue, the government conceded in court at paragraph 16D of its legal submission that the legal position argued by the applicant, Mr. Adrian Yallen, that we do not leave the EEA automatically, but by giving an Article 127 notice was in fact correct. And the government's legal submission states, for the avoidance of doubt, the Secretary does not rely on Article 126 as giving rise to the termination of the EEA agreement. So this is an agreement that can, Common Market 2.0 is a Brexit that can unite the Conservative Party, unite the country, unite Parliament. It's a Brexit that is for everyone.
A 2-minute limit now, please. Lucy Powell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and it's a pleasure to follow my friend, the member for Halfon. He and I actually come at this. He and I come at this from very different perspectives. I represent a constituency that voted Remain, and I campaigned for Remain. But we have reached some of the same conclusions, although we come at it from a very different place. And I think that's what today is about. It is about that spirit of compromise, that spirit of trade-off, and that spirit of working out what it is that each of us can actually live with, not what we would prefer, our preferred option. I'm going to vote for all the options on the table today, even though I'm sceptical about some of them, because my biggest fear, Mr. Speaker, my absolute biggest fear at this stage is that we are going to be heading for no-deal Brexit on the 12th of April unless this House can come to a view about something that it is for, ideally more than one thing, but at least something that it is for. And I think it's highly unlikely that the EU would give us a longer extension or would even contemplate that if we are still locked in this indecision vortex that we've been locked in for so long. So everything does have its trade-offs, and I think not least when you actually put forward a complex compromise position that has been so carefully put together by my friend, the member for Grantham and Stamford, and others, it's very easy to take target at different points in that, to say I'm against that little bit, I'm against that little bit, and therefore I'm not going to vote for it. Nothing is perfect. Everything is about trade-offs. So I would just, again, as I did last week, say to colleagues that we just need to all hold our noses about a number of things we might have concerns about, because we have to break this deadlock before we crash out a week on Thursday with no deal.
Mrs Anne Main.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We're being urged tonight to seek compromise, and yet it's not surprising to note that I think it was only 5 members of the Labour Party voted for the Prime Minister's withdrawal agreement. And I changed my vote for that because I could see this coming down the road at me. It's a very imperfect beast, and I've had a lot of criticisms about it. But tonight's vote shows you I don't wish to vote for any of the options on the table, but I'm asked to choose one. Well, I chose the Prime Minister's withdrawal agreement, and interestingly, 2 of the votes tonight will require a withdrawal agreement, as the honourable member alluded to. So C and D do not give us freedom of movement. They do not give us control over our immigration. I'm surprised to hear the 2 members who are advocating it talking about breaks. That is rather weasel words in my view, and I'm sorry to have to say that, but trying to reassure the SNP that they can have as many people coming over for freedom of movement by reassuring other members of the Labour Party they've got brakes on, that's playing both ends against the middle. The reality will be we will have very unlikely to have control over our migration policy, and if that is what honourable members want, then fine, but I don't think that's what came out in the debates. I am absolutely against a second referendum. I absolutely do not believe that we would be asking the same question for all intents and purposes. It would be a completely different referendum this time around. I don't know how anybody could explain on the doorstep why they chose to ignore the too difficult question of implementing the referendum. And I just would like to read these words to you because I agree with every one of them. 33.5 million people voted to cast the vote, 72% of the electorate, turnout at a level not seen since the 1922 election. No matter which side of the argument won, it was inevitable there'd be people left disappointed. That's the nature of debates, elections and referendums. It's fundamentally undemocratic to argue the process should be rerun because the outcome was not what some people wanted. Arguments of turnout, majority or accuracy or otherwise as statements made throughout the course of the campaign do not invalidate the result. Your words, Mr Speaker, and I agree with every single one of them.
As politicians, we practice the art of politics, and the art of politics is the art of compromise. I've sat here now for 4.5 hours, and that is the #1 word. That's the most commonest word that's been used over the past 4.5 hours, is compromise. Because it's through compromise that we get progress. And we've had no progress for nearly 3 years. And I think one of the main reasons behind that is the hubris, the arrogance, and the overconfidence of the Prime Minister and the former Prime Minister and leading Conservatives. And I go back to David Cameron when he decided to call for a referendum. Jean-Claude Juncker said to him, "Why have you done this?" He said, "Don't worry, I can deliver a 66% yes vote." Juncker said to him, "I couldn't get that in Luxembourg." There was hubris by the Prime Minister when she called for the election in 2017, and I'm not criticising her for that. By calling for that election, she allowed me to get back in through the back door. But she thought she was going to get a majority of 160, and she lost her majority. And it was said by the Chief Whip today, she should have took cognizance, she should have took recognition of the result of that election. And I think he's a very wise man in saying that, and I congratulate him, a very brave man indeed. But that hubris was practised also by her ministers. Who remembers these quotes? Who remembers these quotes? The Brexit negotiations will take 10 minutes. Peter Lilly. The free trade agreement that we will do with the EU should be one of the easiest in human history. The right honourable member for North Somerset. So the election result was very, very close. She could have reached out across the chamber, across the country. She failed to do so, and that's why we're here today. So I urge all members to vote for compromise tonight. I'm going to be voting for the 4 options put before us, and I ask other members to do so.
Mr Speaker, there are huge divisions in our country, and though I voted Remain, I don't support a second referendum or revoking previous decisions because I don't think that that would heal our divisions. But having no deal with our largest trading partner is unacceptable. It brings huge risks to our economy and brings uncertainty on the Irish border. I voted 3 times for the Prime Minister's deal. It's a bespoke deal, and to me it is the best option. But it has failed 3 times. Saying no to everything doesn't work. We need a compromise, and I will support a customs union this evening. That is not the same as the customs union we are in today. You could be in a customs union, but out of the CFP, out of the Common Agricultural Policy, and out of free movement. All of these were big issues in the referendum. Yes, we would follow the same tariffs on goods, but we wouldn't have to follow the same regulation on goods. And on services, the key part of our economy, we will be free to have our own regulations and free to have our own trade deals with other parts of the world. It does not involve handing over our trade policy to Brussels, because a country, Britain's side, would influence Brussels policy, and even Turkey retains its own say on trade sanctions. But, Mr Speaker, fundamentally, the issue here is deliverability. We could be in a customs union, combine that with the withdrawal agreement and deal with it all on the future framework. This could all be done by May the 22nd, and we would not need to have ever extensions or another European election.
Mr Speaker, and it's a pleasure to follow the honourable member for Chelmsford, and there, I suggest, is the real rub of what is going on, or the danger we face tonight if we don't look at what's behind what seems like a lot of sensible compromise, because my real fear is whatever we vote for, unless it's E and G, which I will vote for, then the government will, as the honourable member for Exeter put it in the bag, put forward yet again for another vote, the Prime Minister's withdrawal agreement, and slip into the political declaration either the Customs Union or the so-called Common Market 2. I won't vote for the Customs Union because it doesn't deliver the frictionless trade that our manufacturing section desperately needs. And my concern about option or motion D is exactly that. And the honourable gentleman says compromise, and I hear exactly what he says, but it wouldn't be in the withdrawal.
Order. Thank you. Colleagues, voting forms are available from the vote office and in the division lobbies. Voting, as colleagues will know, is about to start at the end of this statement/announcement and will continue for 30 minutes from the moment it starts. I'll repeat now what I said the other day for the avoidance of doubt and for the sake of clarity. The forms look very similar to deferred division forms, except that they're blue, and they will list the title and letter of the selected motions. The text of the motions is in the order paper. Colleagues, members with surnames from A to K should hand their forms in the I lobby at the relevant desk for their surname, and members with surnames from L to Z should hand in their forms in the No lobby at the relevant desk. As with deferred divisions, members may not, I repeat, members may not vote aye and no to the same motion. If this happens, the vote will not be counted. As with deferred divisions, members may not hand in forms on behalf of other members. Each member must hand in his or her own form. Members with proxy votes in operation will need to get their nominated proxy to hand in their form. A short note is available in the vote office confirming these arrangements. I will announce the results in the chamber as soon as they're ready. Those results will be published in the same way as deferred divisions on the Commons Debates website and app, and in Hansard, showing how each honourable member voted on each motion. Voting is due to start now, and colleagues have 30 minutes to cast their votes. The sitting is suspended. Order. Order.